You are watching Xirtus.
What's it called? Rogue One. It's been a
Rogue
while
One,
since I
Rogue
watched
One
it.
definitely has
Rogue One's a jihad. It's jihadism. The whole thing is
Yeah.
all about jihad, and I mean, they're trying to die also, which is the whole other thing.
The
It's more
force is
like
with me. I am the force. The force is
it's
with me, and the guy
it's
just runs out there. It's all there. And I
more
noticed.
specifically suicide bombing, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's predictive programming to an extent, and what was
Where did
weird
predictive
was
programming come from? Because as far as I've tracked that down, that's not like that's like a conspiracy theorist idea.
No. It's not if you're talking about Bernaysian public relations.
But it's
Because
not
that's
in
actually
Bernays.
documented. Sure it is.
It's not in Bernays.
Predictive programming? Predictive programming you don't think is in Edward Bernays's main catalog of techniques?
If it's in
I know.
there, I didn't.
I remember Cord
I've read
Meyer.
that shit.
Cord
Yeah, I'm
Meyer.
not saying he
on
called it that.
Firing- If you guys don't watch Firing Line, which is like the conservative show that Bill Buckley made, right? He's a former CIA agent who had a book series called Black Eye. Get it? Anyway, he's a Catholic skull and bones, and in this interview, he talks with Cord Meyer, and Cord Meyer talks a lot about how the world works and how important it is to have predictive programming, because you need to gently guide people to know to trust in the right answer without having all the horrifying data, right? Because all the data is terrifying. If you knew what was going on in Cambodia, it would frighten you. If you knew what was going on in Afghanistan, it would frighten you. So the CIA has to keep that information from you. But what is their work? Synchronicity.
Tell me, elaborate.
I mean, their job is to take all of the information that they can to understand all of the different dates and to figure out what's going on, what's going on with which government and which part of the world. If the Argentinians are very close or not very close with the Chilean government are likely to work with the Soviets. If the Soviets are likely to build a trade empire, I mean, these things all matter.
Right. So are you saying synchronicity is a causal by its definition from Jung?
Well,
so if we're if we're saying because this is the thing, wherever you say the correlation may or may not equal causation, that becomes the question of that doesn't matter in synchronicity. But it does to them if they're going to justify
however,
something.
I think
is
basically
basically like the word Smurf. It's whatever you want it to mean. Like people talk about sync as if it was predictive programming or whatever. So it means the same thing.
Well, I mean, Edward Bernays was able to figure out how there were. So it's not irrational. See, the thing is, there are very rational reasons that explain why people associate in their brains this memory with that memory, this emotion with that experience, this song with that day in their life. And if you can figure out how to program enough people, if you know that this many people in New York City read these 3 magazines or
programming and predictive programming are 2 different things.
No. Here, check it out. Engineered consent. So he coined the term. Is a book that's really fucking hard to find. You can find one of his parts to it. There's like a short thing from him, but there's the book Engineered Consent. Look at the price of that online. If you can find a copy, it'll be like thousands of dollars. But anyway, Engineered Consent is, for all intents and purposes, what we would call predictive programming. And what he actually, his thesis that he argues there, I see it as pretty indistinguishable from even what your average conspiracy theorist will argue. And so it's kind of a confessional, really. That's actually one of the things. I'm a little bit of an Edward Bernays sympathizer because I've heard him describe how shocked he was that people actually fell for what he was doing. Because when he was first asked to kind of stage those events, like get women to smoke with the freedom torches and all that kind of stuff, he didn't actually expect that the public would really run with it. And so he was just like, what? It's that easy? And so, I gotta say, and then they're and they're paying him incredible amounts, and they're just keep going, And no wonder Freud hated him, but whatever. I don't know.
God, this is amazing.
I mean, I think
I'm just going to read this really quickly, loudly for anybody to reiterate. The engineering of consent is the very essence of the democratic process, the freedom to persuade and suggest. I mean, it's hard to argue with that.
Once the initial situation is set up, I mean, we have run with the persuasion. We have just gone into a million different directions, like I was saying before. So this is exactly what we're talking about. But yes, there is a contingency of conspiracy theory that claims predictive programming on a billion things based off of motives that they put onto the elites that we can't prove.
Well,
case by case basis.
Like, why do you like bananas with your breakfast? I mean, that's like crazy how many people
that's
died
the real shit, though.
to make you love
psychology
shit. Yeah, well.
So Alex, I mean, this has a lot to do with like your point of view as far as Kubrick is concerned. That's why I was very curious on how, if you saw most of this as predictive programming, or I don't want to say like divinely inspired, but unconsciously. I don't know. I'm not sure where you're at, Alex.
Like I said, I'm in between. I'm sitting on the knife edge of indecision. I mean, it's
because there's
certainly a lot of. I mean, look, there's sync, so-called predictive programming in movies going back to the 30s, going back for a long time, and so this is sort of relevant actually to Mark because, or what I was going to say is that with the whole QAnon thing, where I really strongly feel that whoever they are, the powers that be, the desk intelligence desk workers, guys,
their pronoun is
we're learning sync. We're watching sync, and they saw what we were all doing with our minds,
right,
and employed that, basically weaponized it to mind fuck boomers with Q at night,
right?
Because that's really all Q is just like training people to see, sort of do pattern recognition, and then from that a lot of crazy shit will come out because that's the way the world works. The way
it's basically the same thing they did to ISIS, pretty much.
Yeah,
you give them a tailor-made ideology, and then there's the chaos factor. So what happened there is people ended up believing it and then making it into their own, because they can customize it further to be whatever they want to be, which is what our secret societies, not so secret societies, do as well, which is what is documented in that Proofs of a Conspiracy book from the late 1700s, where it's just like, how did the Illuminati, the real Illuminati, the documented Illuminati, infiltrate Freemasonry? They said, we're the real Freemasonry, and they could recruit the people that they felt aligned with their beliefs kind of secretly and be like, oh yeah, no, we're the real inner circle, because the whole thing is made up in the first place anyway. So you can pretty much do whatever you want. Like, where are the rules? Like, there's those written down.
Well, this is kind of relates to, because I messaged Andreas last week about DuckTales, and this was before Mark died and everything, but it's sort of weirdly related because it ties together my research, Mark's research, and everything else that with regards to DuckTales. There's an episode of DuckTales called Time is Money, and it's actually a 5-part DuckTales movie that was aired, and it's all about like they time travel back to Egypt or something like that. But the reason I found it was because I like to do parent theses, right, on the Dateline. So I was going so we went from 9/11 to Oklahoma City bombing, right? 2 big domestic terrorist events of the time. And so I wanted to see, it's 2,337 days between Oklahoma City and 9/11. And so I wanted to see what came before that, on the same length of time. And so I learned that 2,337 days before Oklahoma City bombing was the day this DuckTales episode aired, called Time is Money. And in that thing, their time machine...
DuckTales always predicts everything.
It does. The time machine is called the Millennium Shortcut. And so...
Yeah, this has been attached to 9/11.
Yeah, I know. Jake Kotze had it in his video a long time ago. But
was it the same one? Was it the one where the safe hits the 2 towers? No, that was a comic that was foreign. That was like from somewhere else.
A comic. But it's got the Millennium Shortcut, and then I think they fly into a plane and disappear.
But it all had to do with the helicopters, the whirly-twirly helicopter, birdie, whatever.
Yeah.
9/11
it's reminding me of that movie Millennium too with Chris Christopherson. That's got some 9/11 predictive stuff in there.
Yeah, that's
so
the airplane
Mark had
movie.
a big, like, one of his big essays, or one of his things, was about 9/11, and basically, literally connecting that phrase "time is money" to 9/11 via the through the fraction of 7/4, which is July 4th, etc. But he kind of pinpointed. He was doing a numerological analysis of all the 9/11 numbers. We all know 11, 77, 93, but then there's 175. Flight 175 was the tower, the second plane to hit the tower. It was the one that everybody saw that day. It was the money shot.
Oh, right.
So 7 divided by 4 is 1.75, which is the flight 175 that was the money shot. And then Pink Floyd,
yeah, there it is.
Put their song "Money" is in the time signature of 7/4, which is really rare time signature.
Well, wasn't it the first? No, I thought it's 8 count, right? Dun 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 dun, and there's an extra. There's an extra one in there. Okay, it's a 7/4. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, it's just it feels that way because that's what the second is. But
I'm not a musician.
Yeah, I'm barely one. But so that just like all in my head just like exploded when I saw Oklahoma City to 9/11 to DuckTales "Time is Money" like is exact.